Show. How's it, sticklers? You know it's the Joy Schtick Show, where the three brothers from Hawaii have gathered to talk about things we've read, watched, or played. Shakas mahalas for sticking around. If you fancy what you hear, please like and subscribe on the platform you frequent. I'm your co-host Drake. That's Thomas.
What up, what up?
And that's Scott.
Hold it.
And welcome to episode 119, where it is way less than 20 and apparently not enough. But today's topics are plentiful. We have a couple of trailers, Madame Web and What If Season 2. We've got some news involving Destin, Daniel, Cretton, and Pedro Pascal. And we will review the things that we've watched before, Gen V and Loki, as well as Blue-Eyed Samurai and The Marvels we all got to watch over the course of the time that we weren't here. So, let us get with the first trailer on the list, which is...
Whoa. Somebody in this group.
Whoa.
Yeah, had a birthday.
Oh!
Happy birthday, Scott.
Scott!
Oh, thank you. I'm the same age as everyone here now.
Yes, you've joined the
We're all
ranks.
equals.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yes.
Sick.
We're
Now I'm
pretty
old
much-
AF along with you
Yeah.
guys.
We're halfway to senilism. Senilism.
Here comes
Yeah.
the midlife crisis.
Hey-o.
Let's get new gear, guys.
Let's get
Yeah.
up here.
Let's all frost our tips.
Yeah, frost our
only
tips.
way.
Put it all on
That's what I've been
Bitcoin, you know?
saying, dude.
All a doge.
Travel to a different country.
With the
Yeah,
frosted
I think
tip.
that's just good advice for any age.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But
yeah.
like, yeah.
Get cultured.
Well,
It's like,
Yeah.
do that.
Learn things. Read a book. Maybe
mean-
eat a salad. You're like, oh God.
Could you
I'm gonna
imagine?
Start now.
Could you
Eat a
imagine?
salad, croutons. You want me to eat tiny hard bread?
Dressing on the side, please.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
100%. So happy birthday, Scott. Hope you had a great one.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was fun.
Nanakalikimaka.
Thanks, man.
So, also, I just want to say quick shout out, congrats to my sister Emily graduating nursing school, and
Oh, yeah,
congrats to my
congrats.
sister Nikki for getting engaged.
Also,
Yeah,
congrats.
it's a
That's
big
awesome.
Craig sister situation going on over here, bruh.
Yeah,
Damn, everyone's leveling up.
doing big
Level
things.
up, dude. Making commitments,
Leveling
doing
up.
stuff.
So let's get into some trailers because this was all the news today. You guys, I already feel like had some hot takes on it before we even really hit record. So let's talk about Sony's new movie, Madame Web.
Well, Scott, do you want to take on the first 25 shades and then I'll take on the next 25 shades?
Yeah, dude.
See what you
Oh
did
man, this movie looks so good, dude. Like,
there. Okay.
Yeah,
all
it doesn't look
I
good.
sense sarcasm. You don't think it looks good?
no.
Okay.
It'll probably okay. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
In terms of like action and things like that, like it'll probably be decent. But watching the movie, my gut is telling me it's not gonna be good. And it's like the first thing I do when I get that gut feeling of like this movie looks kind of, I don't know, like I don't really like it, and I jump to the comments and just see if people have similar types of feelings. I found they had some funny comments. Like there's just people like ragging on this movie and comparing it to like the first movie.
Okay.
Just saying stuff like, I like the
First
part where
movie.
she said, I missed the part where that's my problem. Such a great line. Like they're just like taking
That's
things from other movies and stuff.
Right.
It also looks like a fan-made film. So there's that going for it. But I don't know, that's just my take.
Yeah.
So,
It looks like a Sony Spider-Man movie to me. Go for it, Drake.
yeah. No. We Thomas and I talked about this a little bit before we hit record, and I'm kind of the in between. I'm not super positive about it, but I'm also not. I'm giving it a chance. You know what I mean? Like you see that raccoon, and you're like, maybe I'll pet it, but it could have rabies, kind of a situation.
Yeah, or maybe it's Rocket.
The cast is unless
Very
it's
rarely
Rocket,
it's
but
Rocket.
then there's also a lot of trauma. Yeah, it seems
what
like
if?
that could be dangerous.
So one out of
Season
all
2.
raccoons that it's Rocket.
It's not a lot of raccoons.
Yeah, I've actually haven't seen a live raccoon in my area, which is strange considering raccoons are everywhere. But that's
You're in
neither
the
here nor
country.
there.
Your country,
Yeah.
Colorado.
Country,
I'm a country
Colorado.
boy.
You're at a Bronco
Interesting
to work
cast.
every day.
Isabella Merced is in there. Dakota Johnson is in there. Sydney Sweeney is in there. You could make the argument that they are three individuals who are not necessarily, well, Dakota Johnson's a little bit more established, but at points in time they've all kind of had roles that are unlike this role currently. And that's as PC I can make that. And it's interesting how...
say what you're trying to say. What are you trying to say?
What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that there's three of these individuals that essentially were, at points in time in their career, sexualized.
Okay.
And it's very interesting that they were put in this role where now they've become superheroes. They're actors. It's all fictional. I'm just making observations. Don't get mad. I think their chemistry works pretty well. I think they're going to bring the factor of I'm going to watch it because these people are in it. But in terms of, like what Scott said, the action might be good. The story seems a little... I'll have to watch it and see if the story kind of falls through for me. But I'm on the fence. I'm not in the comments, but I'm back
You're just one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I'm probably the most positive in the group. I think it looked way better than I could have imagined a Madam Web movie being, which I could not care less about when it was announced. I was like, who's asking for a Madam Web? It like totally felt like it was just a Sony requirement to keep the rights to Spider-Man. And at the same time, I like the concept of having a dark Spider-Man that's just trudging through a city trying to murder people. I think we've never seen that in live action before, and we get it. This guy, Ezekiel Sims, seems like an interesting character. And then, like all those actresses, to your point, Drake, in a way, they're all pretty good actresses. They all have these really blossoming careers. Dakota Johnson obviously has a massive career already. She's been in the 50 Shades of Grey movies, which were a massive success. And then these girls are coming in, and they're like, kind of rising stars. So, and their banter and their interaction looks fun. I don't know. I'm kind of stoked about it. Plus, I've like heard on the behind the scenes that this movie's testing really well for test audiences. So I'm like not. I think it could be okay. I think it could be better than Venom 2? 100%. Could it be better than Morbius? 100%. Could it even possibly be better than Venom? Maybe. Oh. So like I don't know. I'm kind of on board with it.
Okay.
Looks decent.
Looks decent. It comes
Scott's
out...
too stuck in the comments. What you think he's got? You got that.
My first thought was like,
saying...
you know what this feels like? It feels like early 2000 movies.
Ooh.
Like superheroes, which was
Morbius
good for the time.
Are.
And that's exactly it. I was like, you know what other movie reminded me of that? Morbius. You know which movie sucked? Morbius. I'm like, Morbius had great actors in it. Like,
true.
And like it wasn't good. So, but it's not like I want this movie to do bad. Like I'd love every movie to be awesome. I'm just like, this just my first take, it feels like it's not gonna be that good.
Par for the course. It's also not rated R, so just
but none of them were like, even Venom wasn't, right? So I think they're trying to get the biggest audience they can, which is smart.
I mean, considering the cast, you'd like it to be rated R.
Also, there was one line in the trailer that pissed me off. Like, one of the characters that looks like, what's her name? Maddie Franklin, Celeste O'Connor. She was like, "You're the paramedic that almost ran me over." And it's like, then they cut to the scene and she's riding in the middle of a fucking road and an ambulance is coming. And I'm like, you're the dumbass. Like, what are you? Fuck you. It already got me angry. This person's an idiot. She's part of the team. Fuck this person. Like,
she's also supposed to be a kid. So there's that.
She's old enough to know. You don't run into an ambulance and then try and win that battle. Like, what are we talking about?
Definitely. I didn't catch that at all. Like I guess I didn't pay attention to that scene, but I hear what you're saying. I do appreciate that they're trying to merge these three different Spider-Woman / Spider-Girl into one story. I think that's kind of a unique take that we've never seen in a Spider-Man movie. And again, like the Spider villain in this, whatever the guy's name is, Ezekiel Sims, he like punches this cop in the stomach and like Omni-Mans him. And just
he's like bleeding out and stuff. Yeah, some of the stuff was pretty cool.
That's pretty wild.
Cool too.
The suits
There's
look cool.
Things that are interesting. interesting things.
Yeah. So I agree. I'm not like fully out on it. It looks like a Sony Spider-Man movie. It is so hard to get excited for these because they always end up so bad. But
Yeah.
maybe, maybe
Maybe.
this is
Oh,
the
shit.
anomaly.
Yeah.
Would you say what if?
Oh, nice. Well done.
Yeah.
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 I would.
What if season 2 trailer just dropped and they're doing something unique with it? We'll get into the whole trailer, but I like that the release schedule is unique. They're doing a new episode every day for 9 days, starting December
Yeah.
22nd. So that's something.
That's pretty cool.
It's like one
is
of those
cool, isn't it? It's
calendars.
an idea.
Advent calendars.
Yeah, it is.
Shorter
Yeah.
and with shows.
It's so true. They literally were like, "What if we had our own show and it was just an advent calendar?"
And it brings
then-
you right into the new year.
There you go.
That'd be
Yeah.
neat.
And the whole new year is a what if.
Yeah.
But
what
let's
if?
talk about the trailer. What did you guys
Okay.
think about the trailer?
There's a lot going on in that trailer, huh?
There is.
I think the animation style, obviously, still love it. Some of the scenes and the character blending was interesting as well too. I think they brought back a lot of characters that I think we want to see, especially in a what ifs type scenario. I think also too with like the multiverse, we're gonna see a lot more. Hopefully, we'll see a lot more of the blending moving forward in the live action movies. Yeah, that's all I got right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks super awesome. If we like were to compare this to like the Marvel movies and like how, like we're like, oh, how does this relate to all the things or whatever, and that can kind of be irritating, it not all connecting. This format for me, like, never even needs to connect to the rest of the Marvel
Thank you.
universe. Like, I love just like, what if this happened? I'm like, fuck yeah, like that's cool. Like, what if, like, and I mean that's why it's called that. But I'm just excited to see all the different storylines, different like, well, what if this character met this character? What if this person had this power instead of that? Or it's just really cool. I like the concept. It's something we did growing up all the time. What if these characters met or cross universes or DC met Marvel? It's always fun to do, and it's cool to see it fleshed out by people just like us when we were young and grew up and built their talent to make it possible for us all to see. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. That's
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah, I think it's that. I think that was what my one more on the side of letdown for season 1 was like, why did they even need to connect? Like, and form a team. Like, I don't even want that. It doesn't even make sense. It didn't really make sense to me. And I think because of that, there, and then plus there was really amazing episodes to me and there was like really shit episodes. So I didn't really like that they tried to force in that they're all part of this connected story. I didn't need that. The other thing I forgot to mention on the last trailer too, we got Adam Scott as young Uncle Ben. And yeah, so I just
Oh,
wanted to
that's
throw it there.
right. I like
Yeah,
Adam Scott though.
Yeah, but we've never seen a young Uncle Ben and like how does he become Uncle Ben before, and distill all this wisdom onto Spider-Man. So there's that too.
I wonder
Right.
if
And then
we'll say his
Emma
iconic
Roberts plays
phrase.
Mary Parker. Is that
Oh, what word?
the mama? Mary Parker?
Oh, Emma
Emma
Roberts,
Roberts? Emma
yeah.
Roberts?
And then she
Yeah.
plays Spider-Man's mom too. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so,
So we're
she's
getting
gonna be
some
in
of
this as
that.
well. So that
American
would
Horror
be. I
Story?
mean, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it seems like they're doing two different timelines, like them before they became heroes, and then them after they became heroes. And it seems like the villain might inadvertently create the heroes that he's trying to stop. The only other thing that popped up in my head was we just saw timelines done so well in Loki. I wonder if Loki had changed this story at all for this movie.
That's true.
I
And
wonder
you
if
know
that's
what?
gonna-
Now that I hear our takes on like what if, I should look at Madam Web as a live action what if. Not take it so
Positive.
serious.
Yeah, positive outlook, Scott.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I gotta do. And I'll probably enjoy the shit out of it.
Probably. You're like,
yeah.
what if we cared about Madam Web? And then
Yeah.
this is the movie we got. Yeah. So, anyways, jumping back, what if seems like a lot of different things. One thing that I saw in the trailer that I really dug was that we're getting a lot of characters back that were one-offs in stories. So we got Hela popping up in the trailer. We got Hank Pym's Ant-Man coming back as like an actual hero. We have not T'Challa's dad, or not T'Challa, but his dad, T'Chaka. So it's like a pre-Avengers story. I like that concept, and also the kid in the beginning, it looks like Peter Quill. So it's like, what if Peter Quill was like a bad guy that his dad like implanted? It kind of looks like, or was evil or something. I don't know, but yeah, that whole idea of it, like, I'm way more excited about this than I thought I was because I really didn't like season 1. So this looks good.
Okay. Moving on to the news in our section, where we've heard that Destin Daniel Cretton, who was slated to direct the
Yeah, King Dynasty.
King Dynasty,
Kang Dynasty.
is not going to do that anymore. And potentially just might direct a Shang-Chi 2.
Yeah, and the other movie he's working on is with Yahya Abdul Mateen or however you say that, the Wonder Man movie or show, I guess.
Yeah.
So I
cool.
guess he's stepping away from King Dynasty to direct those.
Interesting. All right, is that do we feel, or what is it? What is the scoops on that? Is it because Jonathan Majors, or what's the deal?
That's
Jonathan
a good
Majors, for sure.
question. You think so, Scott? I think it
Yeah,
could
because they're gonna have to
play into
change
it.
the whole movie, right? They're like remaking the whole movie, and I could see the director being like, "Well, maybe if I'm approached again with like what we think it's gonna be, I'll say I'll do it again." But it'd be kind of, I guess it
Yeah.
wouldn't be advantageous to just agree to do a movie that he knows nothing about. So
Right. Especially if they are, to your point, going to change all of it, which I can't see a world where they're probably not. But I mean, because all these reports were coming out this last week of Jonathan Major or a Marvel stepping away from Kang entirely and going to Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Or, are they going to recast? Are they not? They had already talked about it last November about changing Jonathan Majors out. So I think, yeah, or I guess they talked about it right after Ant-Man premiered because it didn't do very well. And so they're like, maybe King isn't the way to go. So I could see them possibly changing it for that reason. I don't know, but regardless, like, I want to see Shang-Chi too. Like, wait, give us that first anyway. Like,
yes,
Yeah.
like, we're gonna get him one time, and then he's gonna be in Kang Dynasty in an Avengers movie. Like, that's not cool. Like, show us him somewhere else.
for sure.
Aquafina.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I think you saw it too. There was like this little clip of I think his name's Brandon in Phase Zero, and he was talking about how we're kind of let down with all the end credits of all like every movie we've seen so far with Marvel. Well, not so far,
Yeah.
but at
They
post
just haven't
Endgame,
connected.
they're not
to
connecting.
anything
And then he's
else.
like, "What about all
Yeah.
these characters we introduced?" Like he mentioned Shang-Chi, and he's like, "What happened to him? Like we got a cool movie, and then like no, like they should be following up with another movie that should have been like on the books and like being worked on right away." Like
Yeah.
it's crazy that like now it's like, "Oh yeah," and then we dropped Kang, but Shang-Chi too. It's like we
Wonder if
should have
the
already
strike
been
had
getting
anything to
something
do with
for
that
it.
as
Yeah. Yeah, he should have at least popped up somewhere, like if it was the Marvels or it looks like the closest thing we're getting is in the What If trailer. We see somebody with the 10 rings who looks
Right.
like his dad, and then we also
Yeah,
it
looks like
also
the
looks like we
parents or
get his mom in there too and his aunt, and we're back in whatever the realm is. So, yeah, that's so crazy. I like that movie a lot. It wasn't one of my favorite Marvel movie ever, but I really dug it. And I liked everything about that movie other than the last fight at the end with the dragon. Like, I didn't really need that. It just felt like it was so tacked on for not much reason. But, I mean, other than to show how powerful he has become. But other than that, the beginning part of the movie where he's trying to figure out who he is and he moves to San Francisco and his dad's army is trying to pull him back in. All of that shit was sick. So more of that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
So no more dragons, more Shang-Chi. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, the whole idea with the Marvel movies in the beginning was plausibility. That, like, got so outside of plausibility at the end. Like, it was crazy enough for them to drive through this forest that collapses on itself, and then they go to a different dimension. Like, what? Like,
Mazes
okay,
lead to different dimensions. That's
Felt
the
super magical.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, that was enough. Like, you don't even need to
Yeah.
show me the dragon.
It's like eating Lucky Charms in Ireland.
God, that has to be
Just like
magically
that, man.
delicious. Yeah, oh, man, that has to be
They
so
hit
great.
different for sure.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of fantastic, how do you feel about Pedro Pascal being stamped as Reed Richards?
My God, dude, this is This is so exciting because this is not who the internet had said at all. This is not who I imagine as Mr. Fantastic. And yet at the same time, it just makes sense and it's perfect. I love it. I love this choice.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, it's like I didn't think when we were all like contemplating, like, because it's hard when you throw in was it John Krasinski?
Yeah.
Like after seeing that, you're like, oh, who could be it? Well, you kind of get stuck in this weird like box of like actors, and then yeah, when you're like, hey, Pedro Pascal's gonna do it, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude! Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
He's already got like kind of the grain going, like you know what I mean, like,
Wow.
and he's a great actor, like, yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's gonna
He's
do a
good. I
great
mean,
job.
He can do drama. He can do action. He can do comedy. Like,
Yep.
that's perfect. Yeah. What do you think, Drake?
Well, I was like, when I heard it, I was like, that makes sense. And then I thought about it, and I was like, he wouldn't be somebody that I would have immediately gone to. And I think his popularity in the recency bias makes sense, especially because Fantastic Four, I feel like, needs to do well, especially from our expectation as fans. And so bringing him on as that extra layer of, well, I'm gonna go see it. Pedro Pascal is doing it, right? Kind of like me and Michael Pena, or wanting to see Shaq in more things. So
Yeah, or for like Marvel. Nice. Or like
Shaq and more
the
things. I think we
normal-
just nailed it.
hey,
There you go.
Shaq is thing.
The MCU, like a lot of people came to the MCU because of like Robert Downey Jr. And he played that role so damn well. He's so charismatic. He could do anything. Pedro Pascal has that level of talent.
agree.
Why can't he be Mr. Fantastic? The only question I have about him is like,
Is he flexible?
yes,
Does he do yoga?
he better be on that yoga game because he's gonna have to be the most flexible. No, I'm just curious. Can he be the smartest guy in the room? Like when he stands next to Shuri, or when he stands back next to, let's say they bring back Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Does he seem like he's the smartest guy in there? Because he's
They
supposed
could
to
do
be.
it. Yeah,
You think?
I think so. I think so. Like you said, he can do. I feel like any genre he can do really well. I think he can dive into that character, throw some glasses on him, immediately look smarter. They made Mark Ruffalo believable as
That's
Bruce
true.
Banner, where in every
Yeah.
other movie he's just kind of like a lovable, like normal dude.
Well, they
And you
made
believe he's a
RDJ
scientist, you know.
the same, right? Because RDJ,
Yeah,
is kind of
RDJ,
like
he's
this
just
cocky
RD
guy, but he's smart as fudge.
Yeah, RDJ is Iron Man though. Like,
no, yeah, very true. And he is the thing that he is outside of Iron Man is very confident. You throw him in like, I mean, I've seen him be a lawyer. I've seen him like do like a lead business guy. You're like, yeah, I buy you as like a smart dude, but then like he really does sell it as like I'm a fucking genius. Like, you know, like,
same
and I
as that.
believe it. Outside of that, I don't think he's a genius, but I mean, he's an acting genius in that.
dude, the guy made $500 million playing Iron Man. I feel like he's a genius.
He's probably a genius, yeah. But like in that sense where he can build a suit and stuff, like it's not
Right,
when
right.
thinking of the person to play that role, it's not he wasn't originally that person, I would think. But then once we saw that, I was like, dude, I'm so glad stars aligned and he was that
Yeah.
person for that role. Like, you know, makes sense. And I also think back sometimes I have to remind myself like when Heath Ledger was casted as the Joker, like I had like that was one of those I had that gut feeling. I was like, I don't know about this. Like I've only ever seen him in
True.
Knight's Tale and stuff, but he really blew my
Can excited
mind.
about
So I
that.
try and remind myself
Yeah.
that like,
Yeah.
you know, some of these actors get pigeonholed and they're they're capable of doing other things if, you know, they're
True.
allowed to. So
That
He's
being
got the
said,
talent for it.
I know we were kind of chatting a little bit about who could play the Thing, and I have a new challenger.
Oh,
Okay, go.
okay. Because this is let's set the requirements first, right?
Okay.
The requirements was you have to have somebody who looks like he's the same age or around the same age as Pedro Pascal, because they have to be best friends. They don't have to be the exact same age, but around there, right? The second requirement was that they maybe should look physically intimidating because he's gonna turn into like this big hulking thing, but he doesn't need to be like massive, but just like a little imposing maybe as the
Yeah.
character does in the comics. And then the third thing was they probably have to be Jewish because the character's Jewish.
Yeah. So we threw out some people like Ansel Elgort or Shia LaBeouf.
Shia, I'm on board with Shia.
Who else did we throw out? Shaquille
Michael
O'Neal.
Chiklis.
Michael
We're
Chiklis.
gonna
Yeah.
come back to Shaquille.
No,
So okay.
he played the
So-
other thing though.
Here's the new challenger. Oh, because you had said Seth Rogen previously. I was like T.J. Miller. What about Ben Stiller?
Oh, interesting.
Fits all the criteria, and he was buff in multiple movies, including Heavyweights and Dodgeball.
I guess Ben Stiller can do drama, right? Like
just characters,
Secret
too.
Life
Yeah.
of Walter Mitty.
Schmitty,
And he's
yeah.
got a very unique voice.
Yep.
And he can do humor,
Yes.
which I think the thing's
Clearly,
going to
yeah.
need. Yeah.
He
Yeah, I
probably
think.
could,
Oh my
actually.
God, could Ben Stiller do it? That'd be
Ben
crazy.
I think
Stiller,
he
and
could.
he hasn't done anything in a long time. He's been mostly directing, so that could be an interesting pit
Bro,
stop.
that would be wild. Ben Stiller and Pedro Pascal in the Fantastic Four.
I
That
mean, would
be-
you not want to watch that? Like,
I would want to
let's
watch
go,
that.
dude.
I gotta lie. And Vanessa Kirby as Invisible Woman. Now you just need like a kind of good-looking, young, super overconfident kid.
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet could do it, but I don't think he will.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because he's in
and-
Dune. He's on a different planet. So
yeah, and also he always quotes like the Martin Scorsese, like I'm not gonna do a comic book movie thing.
Yeah, we get Chris Evans back. Only guy to do it.
There
Be
you
Cap
go.
and then do it again.
or cannot because Chris Evans was in Gray Man, right? So could we pick another character from Gray Man and put him in there, like a Ryan
Ryan
Gosling?
Gosling. Yeah.
I wish he's got to be younger though.
A young
Not like
hottie,
super young, but like younger. Yeah.
younger.
I think
hottie?
Chalamet is on the right track though. Like Chalamet would probably.
What about
crush it.
what about?
Oh wait,
the
who's
guy
that
who played
comedian
Elvis
right now? That's
Oh, Jake
blowing up?
Elordi. The guy who
Who's
played
that?
Elvis. Wait, sorry. What'd you say,
Oh,
Scott?
sorry.
Would you
Who's
say,
that
Scott?
hot comedian right now that's blowing up?
Santino.
What is?
Oh,
what is his
Trevor
name?
Wallace.
No, not Trevor Wallace. Like physically good looking that women are like. going to
Oh,
see
Matt
him.
Rife.
Matt Rife.
Oh.
I don't know if he could do it, but I'm just saying like he would have the look.
Potential. He's got a slight southern drawl.
Oh, that could be nice.
Yeah, that could be. really
Yeah.
nice.
I don't know who they're gonna do for Human Torch, but I think they're on the right track. I'd love to see a Ben Stiller
K-pop
thing.
star.
That'd be-
Yeah, K-pop star is a thing, or K-pop star is a thing. Ben Stiller as a thing would be pretty interesting. I just like to see Ben Stiller.
Where did the K-pop star thing come in?
I have no clue because hot guy.
Oh, Steven Yeun.
you
Steven
like hot
Yeun.
Korean guys?
Yeah, hot
Steven
Korean guys,
Yeun
yeah.
could be him. But they got to be brother sister though.
Steven Yeun's already been cast in Thunderbolts.
Oh well, he's got to do both now. Too bad.
Yeah, he's just an adopted.
Cause yeah, Scott said it so.
Bring back Michael
God of
Jordan again.
stories.
Give him the script.
Hey,
Tell him suck it up.
suck it up.
All right, let's get into the reviews for the night. The first one, I think I heard from you, Scott, and you said it because your wife Christine was watching it. I am now on episode 7, and it is phenomenal. It's on Netflix. It's called Blue Eye Samurai. Have you guys
Dude.
been able to watch some of it?
Fuck yeah, dude! I watched it all in one day.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh yeah.
I
man.
was like, I got up and I was like, before I start my day, let's check out an episode. Christine said, like, just check out one and see if you like it.
Mhm.
And then I just watched all of them.
Called in sick for work.
yeah.
No, I was off.
And
Oh.
then I did it.
would have. No, dude, it's so good. Like the only thing I've heard that I guess has been like a wall for some people is the CG. Some people don't like that sort of art. A couple of my
Oh,
friends
really?
have said like, I just don't care for that. And I think, you're either gonna like it or you don't, and that's gonna really deter you from enjoying it. I personally love it. Yeah,
Dude, I just put on Across the Spider-Verse, and then I put that on right after. It's not like the animation's that different.
I know, and I think I honestly want to say like with the competition of a bunch of shows and like maybe just that it's harder to give shows a chance nowadays, and like some people just kind of take a look at maybe the poster and be like, nah, and I'm like, dude, just watch
Right.
the trailer. Like,
That's why you come to
The
shows
fucking-
like this. This is the
yeah,
point.
exactly. Guys, if
know?
you are hesitant on the art, just watch it. Like the story's fucking good.
It is.
It's
Episode
about
5.
revenge. Oh man, it's like I love a good revenge
Synopsis.
story.
Quick synopsis for the folks at home.
So in the 1600s in Japan, there was no foreigners allowed in the country, and there was only 4 white people that they could account for. One of these 4 white people knocked up a Japanese lady and gave birth to this character. I'm just gonna say that this, or should we say the?
It's given away. I want to say like because some people are kind of hesitant, and I think it's a plus to know this. You find out in the first episode the
Yeah.
character, and especially when you hear the character talk, it's the character when you first see them, it's made to believe that they are a male character, but you can hear it in
Yes.
the voice because the voice actor is a female,
Yeah,
and
my
they're kind of
Eskridge from
lowering.
Pen 15.
Yes, and
Ooh.
they're lowering their voice, but like she is a fucking badass. And
Yes.
her goal is to go after these 4 white men that came and entered Japan and just murder them. She doesn't know who her father is. She wants them all dead though.
Yeah. Just
Sick.
think about Kill Bill set in feudal Japan time
Sick.
mixed with, I think, badass animation, badass action, and just like an even more compelling story to me. Like the story is just so incredible. Episode 5 in particular was one of the most incredible single self-contained episodes I've ever seen.
Is that
Like
the one with the
it's in the
flashback?
top 10 ever. Oh yeah. Yeah, where she's partially like protecting everybody in the house in like the brothel slash like fighting all the people who are trying to hunt her and her friends down. Like holy
That
shit.
yeah,
was
that
that.
episode was
Because she's getting her ass kicked like Kill Bill. Like she's getting demolished. It's like John Wick, but for her. It's like she's a badass, but she's not just invincible. Like she takes licks.
yeah.
And God, is it good. And every time you think you know her upper limits, like something else gets exposed and you're like, oh my God, didn't even know that was going to be a thing.
Yeah,
Right?
and like, yeah, there's like things in like the way she fights, and like it's almost like when you're playing a video game, saying you're like the character somehow like levels up. Like there's
Right,
parts in it
right.
where she like naturally levels up, and it makes sense, but you're like, fuck, that's cool. Like,
Right, yeah.
yeah, I don't, yeah,
Me and Emily were watching that one scene because at the end of that episode, like she transforms her sword basically in a very practical way, not in like
Yes.
a magical way or any like anime type way. In a way, like you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And then you also see how she is able to use that weapon, and it's incredible. Like imagine what was the guy who did Capoeira and Tekken, where he's like spinning
Eddie.
around and like
Eddie, yeah.
Dude, she's doing some Eddie shit with this blade thing, and it is sick. Like so sick. I was like, yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
the
it's been sick.
choreography in this is like crazy.
Yeah, it's like John
Um,
Wick level fighting.
Yeah, it's so good, and like the I say camera angles, but it's all like CG to it, but the way they decide
Yeah,
to
it's still
shoot
camera
certain
angles.
things and stuff, yeah, like it's so it's so freaking good, and it's like so good at drawing you in, making you feel for all the characters, and like
Yeah.
yeah, you feel for all the perspectives, and like it's kind of a fucked up world too, and like you feel that,
Totally. She just gets robbed at every turn. Like every
Yeah.
time you think she deserves something better or something more, like it's finally going to work out. It doesn't. And you're like, fuck, can this
Brutal.
girl just catch a break?
Yeah.
Dang.
it's not for
Yeah.
kids,
It's
so
not for kids.
So have them watch it
there's
so they can learn.
Drake,
Drake
there's banging, there's boobies in it.
Oh,
boobies.
dang.
Yeah,
Drake,
there's
you gotta
a
get on
lot
this,
of
dude.
blood.
Sorry, I'm gonna leave
There's
right
a
now so I
lot
can
of
watch it.
yeah.
Yeah, but like the voice acting is incredible. There's some points where it's really funny. What's her friend Ringo?
Fucking left. That's funny.
He really did leave for a second. That's
For a
funny.
second.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun to edit.
Yeah. Oh shit. So worth it, right, bro?
But just yeah, it's so good. Well
So-
worth the watch.
Peaches.
Would you,
What a
if you
button
could
for the-
only
in the
have
first episode.
one, would you rather have a sequel or a video game?
Sequel.
Sequel.
I already thought about it as a video game. I was like, nope, it wouldn't do it justice.
Word. Not even if it was like Spider-Man 2 quality?
No, you know why?
I
Because
wouldn't
they
want-
already have a video game that captures old Japan, and it's the one we
Ghost
played.
of Tsushima.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Scott didn't remember.
Dude,
Yeah.
dude, every other name was popping in my head and not Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
And I'm
you were like,
what the fuck?
Ninja Gaiden.
You ever start a sentence and you're like,
Tenchu.
the ending will come to me, and then it doesn't? That's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys also
Thanks for
hear that
calling me out, though.
Starfield
You're
welcome.
didn't get nominated for Game of the Year?
Which one?
I read an article that
That's a
said-
pretty random thought.
Yeah, I know. Because I was thinking Spider-Man 2 Game of the Year. A lot of implication.
I'm not
Starfield
surprised.
wasn't aware.
I've heard
fun, it's
very mixed things on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
Back to the show.
No mixed reviews on this though. I mean, really, everybody who watches it thinks this is phenomenal, and
Yep.
this is a show where I'm like, if you could make one recommendation, you're like, just check this out. It's this for me this week, or at least this
Yeah.
month.
Chef's
And
kiss.
it definitely was one of those like surprise. Like obviously, Christine watched it. She was like, hey, "You should check this out. It just came out." It's not like we knew. It's not like I saw a trailer drop. Oh, in 2 months it's coming out. Like it just kind of snuck up on me. I'm like, this fucking gem of a show just dropped in my lap. It makes me want to kind of just try out more shows now. You know, like I feel like
Yeah.
there's so many shows we gotta watch, and there's like little room to try new things. I'm like, this show was such a surprise, such a pleasant surprise, and like at the end of the year too, I'm like, oh man, it's like squeezing its way in my list of top shows throughout
Hell
the year.
yeah.
Like crazy.
It's definitely on my honorable mentions. Like
Oh,
it's,
Brenda
it's
Song's
not,
in it.
probably not in the top 3, but it's
Yeah,
for
Brenda
sure
Song's in it
made.
too.
Yeah,
These
made
voices
the,
are crazy.
Yeah, dude.
who'd you say was in it?
Brenda Song. She
Freaking
plays the
yeah.
princess.
Shang Tsung is in here.
Yeah, Andy Park I think is in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
soul is mine.
This is one because I think it's like it's an American show. I'm not sure where it was made, right? It's an American show.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
US,
was
yeah.
trying to see if there was Japanese language because I was like, this sounds so cool.
Kevin
But
Hart
it's-
produced this.
I didn't see any.
No
but-
way, really?
Kevin Hart's under producers
production?
in the. Well, it says producers Jane Wu, Haven Alexander, Kevin Hart.
That's crazy.
Dude, it's so good. Check it out, dude.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
freaking
wish you kind of didn't. It has nothing to do with Kevin Hart. It's way better than anything Kevin Hart's ever done. So like,
Wow.
I'm not associated that with it, but it's good. It is. It's like
Better
actually
than Central
good.
Intelligence? Come on.
What the hell
He's
is
not
that?
any of the voices.
I was
so.
in I was in a movie theater watching that, and Orlando Bloom got up and left. He grabbed his kid and was like, "I'm done," and left.
You're
In
like,
Central
Legolas,
Intelligence.
what
Wow,
do you
you were in
have
the
I
same
see?
theater as Orlando Bloom before?
Yeah, but still, he was just like, "Fuck it, I'm not finishing this," and just like got up and left. So, yeah, never.
Did he
came
make a
back.
scene about it? Did he say
No, he
that?
didn't.
That
He
would have
was,
been
like,
great.
really
He's like,
casual.
I'm not finishing this.
No, he just like waved to his friends and then was like,
He just
out.
took Gimli and left.
Yeah, his Adriana Lima looking son Gimli. Yeah,
that's a hot
so
son.
good. Check it out, everybody. Blue
His beat
Eye
is good.
Samurai. All right, Drake, do you have any follow up on the Gen V finale and the Loki finale?
I want to say that if I was a listener to the podcast, having listened to pretty much coverage of every single episode, as I watched this episode, just the finale, for the first time, I didn't miss a beat. Everything that you guys talked about, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Oh, I know who this person is. Oh, I know who this person is. It was a great, I guess, I'm going to say crescendo because that's not the wrong word, but it was a great cliffhanger into moving into the next season of The Boys. It did, even just this one episode did make me be like, man, teens be being teens, man, just dramatic and like they don't know what they want, and like people with power but they don't have like the emotional context to deal with it, or having to deal with trauma, like all these things popped up and made sense for the characters, even though it was extremely frustrating. It made sense for what I was watching. The action was great, the build-up was great, even these conversations between each character, even though I didn't watch the predominance of the show, made sense because of what we talked about. So great coverage, boys. Fantastic. You can take a nobody nothing and they'll understand what's going on if they just watch one episode of the whole thing. So I appreciate
nice.
that.
Sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We do.
But that was
work
my take.
hard here.
I'll looking forward to The Boys, obviously, and Invincible. Those shows are just doing well right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right. So yeah. Gen V phenomenal too. I think that is in my top 3. I loved it so
Yeah.
much.
Loki
Anything
finale.
else, Scott?
Oh no, Gen V. Yep, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Loki because that show was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
let's
the
talk
Loki's-
about that. Let's get into Loki season 2 finale. Scott, do you want to take it away on what you
Time
thought
slip
about
into
this
it, Scott.
episode? Maybe a quick little recap of what you remember.
Yeah, we get more of Loki getting control over his powers, like his time powers. And you realize it's funny because Christine and I just watched Groundhog's Day. It was leaving
shit.
Netflix and she watched it for the first time. I didn't know.
Oh,
So we were watching and I'm like, oh, I like when he starts doing this. She's like, I've never seen this movie. I'm like, what? You never seen it? And so we watched it, and then we watched this, or I watched this like sometime later. I'm like, just so having watched Groundhog's Day. And there's like that
Right.
feel of like he's doing the same thing over and over again, trying to nail it. He goes back to that moment where Dr. Timely is about to go out on the
on
what is
the
that?
loom,
Platform.
and then
The platform and get out there, and he's trudging, and he turns into spaghetti, and he gets to the point where he knows what everyone's gonna say, and he's like going over and over and over. How can we speed this up? How can we speed this up? And it keeps ending in the same way. And then eventually he turns to Ouroboros, and he's like, well, they're doing like a further flashback, right? And he's like describing like, oh, I made a model, blah blah blah. And then he's cutting everyone off, and they're like, this is kind of weird. And then he asks Ouroboros like, if I needed to learn everything you know about this, like how long will it take? And he's like, oh my, it would take forever. Like it takes centuries. And then like centuries later,
Love
and
it.
you're like, holy fuck, like.
yeah.
He's really living the same thing. They do it. Everything goes right, and the outcome is still bad. So like he goes like it's just like the amount of wisdom this man like was able to obtain in this one episode. Like it really, I know it was like one episode, but it really felt like you felt this like longevity of life he had.
Yeah.
They did such a fucking good job with this episode. And like just the way he's approaching his own reality now, and like what he needs to do, and like the responsibility he needs to take on himself now, all the way up to the very end where he's like literally turning time strands into like his cape and costume, and like so fucking epic. This like this series came to such a good ending. It felt like a solid graphic novel that you read, kind of like a what if. You're like, oh, and this thing like it doesn't even, I mean, again, this doesn't even need to connect to anything else. If it was just like a one shot, it would still be amazing. Like I so loved it.
Yeah, well said and well done. It totally finishes off and concludes in this way. You're like, fuck, that's no notes. Like, how do I can't picture a better way to do it, you know? Because he even said in an interview recently, I think I sent it to you guys, but Brandon again from comicbook.com just interviewed Tom Hiddleston, and he's just like, this was it. This was everything I wanted to do with the character. He's like, I'm not going to say I'm not going to come back. Like, you never know. But he's like, this is what 14 years of work felt like finishing.
Wow.
Yeah. And you guys got to go back and listen to it. I know you didn't. But
well, I probably didn't watch the episode yet. I was waiting for Christine, and I kept going like, "Hey, we got that new Loki," and she's like, "Oh, let's watch this." So we watched other things, and then it got to a point where she's like, "You can just watch it." I'm like, "Oh!" Like I had coworkers going like, "Did you see it yet?" I'm like, "I'm waiting for Christine."
Yeah,
you know, so like, I couldn't watch it. But yeah,
but it really does. It just wraps up everything so perfectly, and he's going back to these different points in time to stop. Basically He Who Remains, but He Who Remains just seems like he's got the upper hand. He's like, no matter what, it all leads to you having to kill Sylvie, and we know how this Loki feels about Sylvie. Like he's madly in love with her, I guess, and they don't even share any real like physical moments in it. Weird, you know, they don't kiss, they don't do any of that, but there's still a lot of love there, and it seems like he's gonna have to kill her no matter what. And then it even gets to that point where He Who Remains is like, oh, I thought you would have been able to figure out how to stop time by now. And he's like, and then he does it. And then he stops time. He's like, what makes you think this is the first time we've had this conversation? And I'm like, that's God, cool. So we're not even cued into how much this Loki has evolved in the amount of time he's been repeating all this too. Yeah. So there's that element too, where it's like, wow, that's fucking crazy. But yeah, you feel like there's this crazy passage of time. We already learned that his greatest fear from episode 5 is that he doesn't want to end up alone. And that it seems like it's pushing him in this direction, because he then learns that the loom was never supposed to work. It was always meant to take all these branching timelines and consolidate them into one timeline. And it was always going to explode. It was always going to blow up. Eventually it was going to fail. How do you replace this guy who seems to have figured out everything? You know, and the only way to do it is for Loki to basically take his place and then to be alone for eternity, kind of making sure that the proper flow of time, or that his friends can grow and live and die and then pass on, and all that stuff is like, it's so heavy, it's so crazy, and it's so well done, and it's like bittersweet at the end too. That's just like, God, man, like Tom Hiddleston, what a treasure. How lucky was the MCU to cast him from the start of Thor, and for him to like stick around and then deliver this story, this performance. I was like,
yeah, because even him just walking up that whole thing, like walking up, sitting down, seeing
The
his
weight.
face.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he didn't even need to say anything, and you're like, oh, fuck, I want to cry for this guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you feel, yeah, you feel everything he's feeling without even saying. Like he's such a good actor.
The catalyst for me that brought everything together was Mobius's line.
Yeah.
Because most purpose is more burden than glory, and trust me, you never want to be the guy who avoids it because you can't live with the burden.
Yeah. So good, man. I
Fucking
know.
so
and
good.
I did
Yeah.
not expect that from Owen Wilson. Like, I know Owen Wilson's a great actor. Like, I know.
Wow.
Yeah, but like it hit you though. You're like,
Yeah.
So
God,
good.
dude. He delivered it in such a way where it's like, it felt like he's lived it too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like, yeah, of course Mobius has, because he tells the story of Ravonna had to step in and prune that kid. But also, like, it came from a place of like, man, Owen Wilson's been through some shit.
Yeah.
He's
Look
been,
at his nose.
Felt like a real life experience was coming through.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. That you're right. That line hit so hard.
So hard.
The part where he tries to time slip and ask Sylvie for permission, and she basically tells him without him even saying it, like, "I'm not going to give you permission to kill me. Like,
Yeah.
this is, you know, if you have to do this to step up, like, that's on you."
Yeah.
And that's another crazy thing too. Like, so many times, I kind of referred it to like a bad breakup, or like somebody, you know, the relationship's going bad, or like, you know, you want out of the relationship and you're hoping the other person breaks up with you, but then they don't, and they're like, I'm not gonna break up with you, you're gonna have to grow some balls and do it yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what that moment felt like to me, where I'm like, fuck, that's so hard.
It's the ultimate character growth from when we were first introduced to Loki until now. Like the biggest, longest, most meaningful character growth for me in the MCU, even including all other characters. Like
Even including Iron Man, just because
I
I
would-
hear that comparison a lot. Like online, people are like, this is the second or like next best character growth besides Iron Man.
I would say I agree with Iron Man, but Iron Man was mostly ego, whereas Loki's I think was like grander.
He's like, yeah.
Iron Man is overcoming
I see what you're
himself
saying in a way, yeah.
yeah.
Because like Iron Man's was ego too, in a sense. Like if you watch from Iron Man 1, which I just went back and watched, and then you watch Endgame, he's like all about himself in the first movie. Like he only cares about what he wants to do. He even saves people in a way that he thinks is right to do it, not in a way anybody's asking for.
Yeah.
And he makes a suit for himself. He doesn't like give it to the army or give it to someone else. Like he makes it purely for him. And at the end, like knowing that he has a family and everything, he still sacrifices himself. But I think Loki does it just for his friends and for the possibility of what other people can experience if they had free will or the ability to just live out their life. Like
Yeah,
I
he-
just feel like, man,
He went
that's-
from like incredibly selfish to selfless. Like everything
Yeah.
he did after that was, he's like, literally, I'm not gaining anything from this. It was just kind of a strange event that he kind of got that throne that he was like, I should have my own throne. At the end, he wasn't even thinking about that, but it's kind of funny it worked out that way.
right. It's
Um,
crazy that he does get a throne, but
he
it's
does get a
no throne
throne.
you would ever want.
Exactly. Yeah, and it is interesting. Like he genuinely feels that way. It's not like he's like, or he's not cracking jokes like, oh, I guess I better do this for everybody. Or, you know, like he's not saying like pity me or anything. He's like,
Well, that version would
I-
be pretty
Yeah.
good.
I
Gotta
mean,
do it.
Loki's living in his hell, right? He's living in his the thing he doesn't want the most, which is to be alone. So he's in his perpetual like hell. Whereas Iron Man kind of, he doesn't, quote unquote, doesn't exist anymore, right? So he gets to have the hero's send off, whereas Loki is just there, right?
yeah.
For
And also, no
eternity,
one even knows.
potentially.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
So let's talk about some of the characters who may know, right? Like Mobius knows, Sylvie knows, Hunter B-15 knows, OB knows. So it's like, but they're the only
Casey.
ones that really know. Yeah, I think so, because they're all like standing there on the bridge when he tears that hole in whatever time or reality or something, and they see him grabbing the strands. So I think they would know he's there, but like, imagine how crazy that would be. Like your friend is like responsible for saving the universe, but you gotta. But that's how I feel about like Tony. Like they all know that about Tony Stark too.
True.
You know, like so. But I get what you're saying. Like it seems so much more grander coming from Loki, and I don't know why. Like
guess-
So I think
Okay.
because he's also a god, and then
Yeah.
this is also like multiple timelines. So it's not
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
the
Like
one
infinite
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
timeline.
it's like
Yeah.
all of time for everyone and any variation of you.
Yeah. We still
Um,
we see him be selfish at times. We see him be endearing. We see him, lose his life and come back. We've seen him regenerate, and in this situation, he is stuck. And I think that's the impact of it all, because we don't really see characters in the MCU truly stuck. Right?
Yeah, like the assumption is like Tony Stark went to like Marvel heaven or something, right? But like Loki, we know where his purgatory is or his hell
that's
is.
that's kind of true, right? Like, yeah, we don't know what the afterlife's like, but it could be different. Whereas, like, you know what Loki's experiencing, and but at the same time, I mean, it's kind of hard to compare because they are just on different levels. Like Loki is like a god, so um, in a way, Iron Man, Tony Stark achieved well over what any normal human could do,
Hmm.
saving the universe, right? Whereas like Loki kind of did that in its own way of like he's a god. This is kind of like more than a god could do, but
Yeah.
like Tony Stark doing what Loki did, like that's like, wow, that's crazy. That would never happen. But like to their own degree, like it may be
Yeah.
equally as big, you know?
Right.
Have
Yeah,
you
But
yeah.
ever disliked uh, Iron Man? Have you ever disliked
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Tony Stark as a whole? I think
I have.
in that's because of kind of like his crassness and his selfishness at times.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just, yeah, it was like his way or the highway. And I typically in real life don't like that from
Yeah.
people. Like, I like options and let's work together in collaboration and stuff. And a lot of Tony's arc was like, I'm the boss, get on board. I mean, you can
Yeah.
watch, I just watched Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2 with War Machine. And even with War Machine, he's like, dude, like, this is how we're going to do it. Listen,
yeah, it
you
must be
know,
hard to be
and
his friend, right?
yeah, it would
Yeah.
be really hard.
I mean, you get a lot of free stuff probably. Probably don't have to worry about money.
Not a boat, tell you that. Can't afford it.
Not a boat. Well, I think because with Loki, you can truly, as a spectator of Marvel, maybe you're not super deep into the comic books, but just viewing the movies, you can actually be like, he's a villain, and at the end of this, he's like the hero of heroes.
Yeah.
I think in that kind of spectrum, the weight maybe in this timeline, the weight of it is a little bit more heavy, but I think you always are rooting for Loki, and to know that he's now made this kind of sacrifice, where typically we don't see him making those sacrifices. Maybe that weight is a little bit more than
Yeah.
we're used to.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, because even like, yeah, I mean, you always kind of did feel bad for Loki, right? At least I did. Like even when he was like it felt like his god of mischief was he was mischievous, just like he chose to do that. It's not like he had to. It seemed like he kind of like
It's like the way he's coping with his
he was in
life
he
and
didn't feel
his
welcomed by
place.
anyone except for his mom.
Right.
And then like Thor gives love the way he knows how to give love,
Hmm.
you know.
Right.
Um,
And like
so he never
Odin
fit
didn't
in.
seem
Yeah,
like the best dad ever.
yeah. So it's like you
And
get it.
yeah.
And he's always
Yeah.
fucking up to the craziest degree, and yeah.
How did you guys feel about the characters that we got left? So we got Mobius standing there watching his, I guess, past self interact with the kids. We get
Yeah.
Sylvie, who kind of like taps him on the shoulder. You know, Obi, 100B15 Casey. Like, how did you feel about how we left those characters?
I felt kind of sad for Mobius. Like for
Yeah.
a second, I thought he was gonna be able to go back to his family, like the in the Men in Black with what's his name, Tommy Jones, like be able
Oh
to
yeah,
live your life again or something. But it's like he was able to. He gets to retire, but he can do whatever he wants, I guess. But he's also seeing himself live the life he wants, which is
I
kind of
think he,
sad.
from what I understand, though, he could go back and like
Could he?
just live there. Yeah, at that moment, whenever he was taken. But I guess that's what I understand. But I felt sad for him too, and I was like, that's so strange because he can put himself back at any point in time with his kids. He can put it back to like the day they were born. He put himself back there, but it's like it still felt sad, and I was wondering like, is he sad just because he knows what happened to his friend, or is he sad because he knows he's missed so much?
I think
wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know.
I think he just knows he's not that person anymore, and to like
Damn.
you're going back to like what, you know what I mean? Because you've been through so much, you've experienced so much, like you're just not that person anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's heavy.
It is
Yeah,
heavy. That's
I
probably why
agree with.
Tommy Lee Jones erased his memory.
Yeah.
erase his own memory.
He had to
Here
go back
come
to
the
his life.
Men in Black.
Men in Black.
Yeah.
He went back to being working at
He's
the post
like,
office.
I don't want to know any of the shit I just learned in the
Yeah,
last
can you
10,
imagine
15,
you know
20
everything
years.
about aliens and then you just go back to a regular job? Like what?
Yeah.
What the fuck does this matter?
Fuck aliens! I want to work at Kroger.
I saved the world. The world could be dying right now. They might need me.
Yeah,
That's gotta be crazy.
that does. It's so good. I was also like, Sylvie's one was a little bit confusing for me too. And this is not a criticism at all. Like, I loved all of this. It all really worked for me still, but I'm like, what is she gonna do? Like, is she just gonna go back and work at McDonald's? Like, is that truly where she's the most happy? And if it is, that's awesome. But I'm just like, I just don't see how she could, running
She might
from
try
apocalypse.
other McDonald's. Try it out. Go.
I mean,
to
she
might try
probably
Burger
McDonald's
King.
all over the
manager.
world.
She might try Wendy's. Carl's Jr.
You never know.
Good Times is actually really good if you ever had a good time situation.
Good times is good. Burger's good. I
I've
like
never
that.
had it.
Yeah.
Where
I
is
like
that?
Whataburger too.
I had Whataburger.
Whataburger.
Whataburger's nice.
I guess she could work at a Shake Shack or
Yeah.
Shake Shack, very nice.
Pretty nice.
In and Out or.
It's got to be burgers though, right?
Pretty much.
What about chicken burgers?
Ooh.
We're gonna have to
well,
have
like ground chicken into
Gonna
a
have to ask
patty.
Sylvie.
Maybe she opens
yeah.
her own chain, Sylvie's.
Yeah, yeah.
She's learned enough over the
Sylvie
years.
D's.
Yeah.
Sylvie D's nuts?
All
Alright.
of this. You got it in there. You got one D's nuts in there. Quota check. Yeah, Loki was fantastic. I don't know. Do you guys think we ever see? Last question. Do you think we ever see Tom Hiddleston pick up the horns again and play Loki somewhere down the line in the MCU?
Please.
Do you think it happens though? Like, I want it. I think we all want it. But does
Yeah.
it happen?
I think it does. I think it does late in the game. It does
Like
late in the
Secret
game
Wars
where
or
we,
something?
where we least expect it, and then it's all of a sudden we need this thing, maybe like a Deus Ex Machina, and we turn to, and it's Loki, horns and all.
Dude, you see, that's the thing. Yeah, like, I want this Loki to show up and then be like, just kind of like pop in and be like, in case you guys didn't know, kind of a big deal now.
Right.
Like, I'm kind of the reason you guys are all alive. So I'm gonna go back to do my job selflessly, but
Just I
let
want the
you know.
credit, but
Yeah.
like, you don't have to thank me.
humble brag, kind of a
could.
big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I wonder if we get a variant or something. I don't know if you like disturb this version of Loki's ending, although this is probably my favorite version of Loki. But yeah, I don't know if you disturb it. I think we see him again in Secret Wars.
Please, jeez.
Yeah.
All right, the new movie just dropped, and the hottest news about it is that it's the lowest opening for a Marvel movie, I think, ever. Yeah, that's
way.
not a compliment, but I don't think it's a diss either. There was a lot of extenuating circumstances around this movie. We had actor strikes. We had
Being able to
middling-
promote it, yeah, that's huge. Like not
they
being
were-
able to
yeah.
promote the movie.
Yep,
Yeah.
not able to promote it. Like so much was tough about this movie coming out, and it seemed like they were like, we're just gonna stick with it because we can't hold off any longer in getting this movie out. Let's talk about the Marvels. What do you guys? We'll go overall thoughts, and then we'll start doing some like detailed points.
Okay.
Drake.
So it was things that stood out. It was a movie. It was
You dick. Like, of course. Like,
it was a Marvel movie. Okay, so granted, I did not go to the theaters to watch it, so the quality into which I watched it was not the greatest. However,
Not
in
supposed to
terms
do
of in terms of content,
Yeah, I went to the theaters, Drake.
oh wow, I'm sorry, I
those are
couldn't.
some honest eyebrows.
I know, eyebrows of
talking about?
honesty. Things that I liked. I liked that there's continuity. That was great. The action was great. The banter between the three of them, Tanoa Paris, Brie Larson, Iman Vellani, was great. The use of their powers was great. How they kind of montaged into figuring it all out, I enjoyed it. Even though it was kind of, cliche, I still liked it. The overall story, it was mid for me. Like using that new lingo. I didn't.
Look at
it
you,
wasn't.
Gen Z.
Yeah, I know. Hey,
What'd you say?
it was mid.
Oh,
Yeah. It wasn't. It
Did you
wasn't
not know
lit.
that term?
It wasn't
Scott?
fire. You know what I mean?
It's like the middle, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like in
it's-
between.
Why don't you just meet me in the middle?
I didn't. I was. It was interesting that they kind of reused a Kree warrior with a hammer as like the main villain in this situation. I think. I don't know. That's kind of overdone for me already. I get that we're in the realm and it's leading to other things, but I think that was an interesting choice. The idea of the second bangle randomly on a different planet with little explanation. Granted, it can just exist and that's fine.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Okay.
considering
Okay, finish your sentence, and then
Considering
let's.
that-
I want to go into those individual
Okay.
points. That's why. Yeah.
Wait, but after.
considering yeah.
Quick. Okay.
Oh, yeah, considering that.
Wait, stop
we
it. Cut
ha-
him off one more time. Yes, perfect. We did
Yeah,
it.
okay, yeah.
I like your
How
hat.
bad are you getting?
I like your hat.
It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah. It's good.
Considering that we've gotten it in Miss Marvel in the show, the kind of the bangle happenstance, it was just interesting. It didn't really seem too connected, and that is my spiel.
Very nice. Yeah, I think all great points. Scott, go for it.
Trash. Move on. No, I'm joking. It was.
There you go.
I think it's unfair. Like you're saying that headline, there's a lot going on that's besides like the not being able to promote and stuff. It's like I think the track record of Marvel so far is not helping the movie as well.
True.
Like
yeah.
if this movie came out at a different time, like earlier in the movie cycle, it probably would have done really well. Like so, it's a lot of people making assumptions about the movie without even watching the movie, which is unfortunate because the movie wasn't that bad. Like it was like a normal Marvel movie. There were definitely moments, of course, you're like, okay, like so like the villain wasn't that strong.
Yeah.
There's certain things you're like, it's kind of wonky, but there was a lot of cool aspects of this movie. The way they use powers, the way they use like teamwork in this movie was pretty unique.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good to it as well. There was some silly aspect, but that's kind of been Marvel, like the
Yeah.
it wasn't bad. But the reason I didn't watch it, I couldn't watch it in theaters as well because I was working overnights and I couldn't find time. So that would definitely the definition of the movie probably make a difference. Seeing it in theaters probably makes a difference as well. And the aspect of, the point that we can get these movies within maybe a month or two on TV nowadays, it's like,
Yeah.
why even go to the movies anymore? So all of that had working against it, but it was actually a pretty decent movie,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was terrible by any means. I definitely do not think it's the worst Marvel movie. As I go back and I watch all of these movies in a row, like Thor, there was a lot I like about Thor 1. I don't necessarily think it's that great of a movie. Is it a better movie? Maybe, but I don't know. So I think this was way better than the first Captain Marvel for me. It just seemed like they were having so much fun. One point that you talked about, Scott, which was Marvel's track record hasn't been that awesome lately, and it hasn't. Like if you look at Secret Invasion or even Miss Marvel got bad reviews, or She-Hulk, like all these things kind of compounded, and I think that even Quantumania didn't really like smash the box office like they were assuming. So I think if Secret Invasion had done better, this movie would have done better.
Yeah.
Because everybody knew that Secret Invasion was leading into this, and Secret Invasion sucked. And somehow this movie made Secret Invasion even worse. And like I said that on the Instagram review, and I stand by it. Like this Nick Fury for me, I love Nick Fury. I think Samuel L. Jackson's an amazing actor. Everything that he did in this movie didn't work for me. It just didn't make sense. It felt like two different Nick Furies, going from Endgame then to Secret Invasion then to this. It's like two different characters. Drake, you brought up some points though. Let's go back to some of the things that you didn't like.
I didn't like. Man, it seems like I didn't like a lot of things.
That's okay. Let's go by let's point it out because I'm curious on the individual things. I think you had some really good points on those, but I feel like each one of them kind of deserves their own little time.
Yeah, biggest thing I think the bangle for me.
The bangle. Okay, yes, let's get into that. Because in Miss Marvel, we see that her grandma gets it off a blue hand in like this temple in India somewhere with like 10 ring symbols on the side. And then in this movie, it's like, boom, they find it on like an asteroid or some planet.
In
And
a
she's just like,
rock.
in a rock, just breaks it, brushes off some dirt. And it's like, boom, there it is. And just puts it on. And
Yeah.
it felt like that was so anticlimactic for how much we wanted to know about the bangles.
Yeah, I agree. Because then it's like, yeah, like the second bangle, there was nothing special about it other than it just got lost somewhere on a rock. Like the first one, it's like it seemed like it meant something to somebody, and like it was like this
Right.
whole thing around. The other one's like, oh yeah, you wouldn't believe what I found over here. Like yeah, just it felt less special, right? It was just like in space
Yeah.
somewhere.
The
Yeah.
most special part, I like how one kind of absorbed powers and one kind of like shot it out. Like I thought
Oh.
that was kind of a cool idea.
Mhm.
It's I also liked hearing quantum bands because we had talked about it when we watched Miss Marvel. We're like, oh, maybe it's the nega bands, maybe it's the quantum bands, and hearing them say it's like, yes, okay, finally they named it, but it
Mhm.
wasn't that much of a surprise anymore because we already knew what it was gonna be. So that was kind of like I just kind of wish there was more of an exciting way of her finding it that really was
Yeah.
like, oh, this really ties to Kree history or something, but it didn't feel that important. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That was kind of let down. The other thing, the main character or main
The villain.
villain.
Yeah.
God, I wanted to like her. I really
too.
did because she's Tom Hiddleston's fiance. They just had a baby together. And I'm like, oh man, what a big week for both of them. Loki finale, the Marvels, like she's Tar-Ben or something like that. Tar-Ben or yeah, Tar-Ben, I think.
Darben.
Darben, thank you.
Darwin.
But like I just never felt like even she was hitting Brie Larson pretty hard with a hammer. I never felt like I believed her or was scared of her or anything. Like it never felt like she was a big bad.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys had this problem. Like, I had a hard time knowing how strong everyone was. Like,
Right.
sometimes Brie Larson's Carol Danvers is like crazy. It's like that whole Superman thing, um, that we've talked about before. Like, sometimes he's like this strong, and then he meets another villain, and now he's this strong. Like it's
Right.
just like I'm like, how strong is Darben? Because she's smacking Cara Danvers with a hammer, and then she's also smacking Ms. Marvel. And I'm like, she not just get her head crushed in? Like, is she as strong as Brie Larson's character? Like, I was just getting kind of confused with that aspect. And then like the drive, like I get it. Like on paper, that drive should hit me. It's
Yeah.
like this. We're kind of dealing with it right now. We don't need to touch on it, but like it's a thing. Like the it's a big thing. But for whatever reason, I didn't feel like she was that scary of a villain. Like I don't know
Yeah.
what it was. I was like, yeah, I
I
really
think
wanted
she's
her to be
so
good.
She didn't seem
non-fleshed out.
important. Yeah, not fleshed
Yeah.
out. She didn't seem important. Like there was no weight behind her. Just like I'm mad because I'm a Cree, and Crees to be mad.
Yeah, I mean, like I never sunk in how shitty their situation was because the Annihilator destroyed their planet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it never sunk in. Like, are you living miserably? Is everybody living miserably? Like, I think if we had saw some people like, I don't have enough water. We got to spend time maybe with the people she was trying to save. It might have sunk in more. But it was like, wait, are you a diplomat? Are you a villain? Are you a what? Like, yeah, the savior of your people. Like, I guess her
Yeah.
motivation was so unclear and her plan was so unclear for me most of the movie that I never really understood her, and that was kind of a letdown for the villain for me.
Mhm.
Again, I'm like, I feel like I'm sounding really negative about it. I actually did like this movie, but the villain just for me wasn't that strong, and because of the villain's motivations.
Right. I'm trying to remember. Do we get to see the planet other than the ending where she flies to the sun?
Yeah,
Where
yeah, we do. There's a part where she's like doing like what's it again? Tarbed,
Darwin,
Darben.
like
Darbed.
Darwin, like he said, but with Ben, Uncle
Oh, okay,
Ben.
there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, like we do see a moment where she's talking to the people and she's like, "I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna bring back the waters. I'm gonna bring back the sun. I'm gonna bring back blah blah blah."
Yeah, I think like that should have been like you're saying, like just stronger. Like we need to freaking feel how much these and like also feel the weight of like there's like a whole planet of people are gonna die. Like
Yeah.
they should have sold it that like sold it better versus like
Have
a
the whole
small
planet. Yeah.
small town on this planet. Like we're like who else is hearing her? Like you know, it seemed like she's just talking to like 10 people in a village. Like oh god, you know, I got you guys.
Right.
Like yeah, like I want to
Yeah.
feel like the whole planet's dying. It's a big deal.
Right, like somehow Hunter B-15 crying over all the prune timelines. I felt that more than like 100 people on screen like in rags. It's like how does that make sense?
That's good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the character interactions because I think it was a standout of the movie. I think Aman Vellani has solidified herself as a star. She was by far the standout out of all of them, followed by Monica Rambeau for me, and then followed by Brie Larson. And like I so wanted to like Brie Larson in this movie. I so want to like her as an actress because people are enamored by her. I just don't get it. Like her acting doesn't work on me. Like I don't ever feel like I believe it. Like we're watching Lessons in Chemistry, and I do like her in that. I do, but I don't feel like she's just. I'll put it this way. I think she's been the only miss in casting in the whole timeline of the MCU. Since 2008, I feel like she's the only one that's ever been miscast. And like again, that's being before I sound sexist or whatever. I still think Tanoia Paris is fantastic. I think Aman Vellani fantastic. Ashley, not Ashley Olsen. What's her name? The Olsen sister, Scarlet Witch.
Oh,
Elizabeth Olsen, fantastic.
Elizabeth Olsen,
like there's so many great women that they have put in these roles. And I said this to Frank on Challenge Accepted, and I stand by. Like if the MCU was 10 years younger, and they had to cast Carol Danvers, and they put like Charlize Theron in there, like I think she would have ripped this role. I think it would have been so much stronger.
Yeah. Like I agree. Like her as Carol Danvers, I'm not completely sold still. Like
yeah, and she's had 4 at bats. Like she's had 4 attempts to show us Carol Danvers, and it's like it never really works for me. I never felt like she was that badass in this movie. She was like too badass in the first movie, and now she's like didn't feel badass at all in this one to me.
Yeah.
It's like what is going on? Like so again, I think that speaks to your point earlier, Scott, of like power scaling. But anyways, let's go back on the positive side.
But
let's talk about Monica
Rambeau
and Iman Vellani.
Definitely, I agree. Star of the show. I loved her in Miss Marvel. I know some people really didn't like the show. I like the show.
I like the show too. Yeah,
and she was great in this movie. She definitely like you feel like she's like this freaking kid freaking out about meeting her hero, and like I liked all her line, and like she rarely do I guess agree with like the guy in the series should be the guy in the movie kind of thing, because that doesn't always pan out that way. But this felt like a smooth transition. I'm like, dude, I hope I see her more. I know at the very end we get a hint at something else we'll talk about later, but I hope I see her in like maybe that crossover things going on, you know, like with those group of people. Yeah. But I want to see more of her. She did a great job. And then Monica Rambeau, it was cool seeing her. Her suit looks sick, by the way.
Monica Rambeau's?
Oh, sorry. What's it?
No,
the jumping to the other character now.
Which one? Monica
Rambeau?
Yeah. Her suit looks sick. The black and white, the Venom
looking
suit.
Yeah.
And her ghost-like powers and stuff.
In the comics.
Yeah, that was super sick. And then I think those 2 out of the 3 definitely, I have to agree, they were the standout. So I mean, it's good to have, I guess, 3 main characters because you're bound to like one of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of my favorite Monica Rambeau parts was when they get teleported to Miss Marvel's house, and then she punches a Kree, and then like flies through him, phases through him, and then punches him in the face on the other side. That's pretty sick. Yeah, that was cool. All right, let's briefly touch on 2 things because I think we have to talk about it. The singing planet, I think it's called Aladon, and the water singing planet, and the Flurkin scenes where everybody has to get eaten to be transported to Earth.
I mean, Drake likes cats, so about the Flurkin scenes, I thought it was hilarious that whole moment was in a bubble of just like, this is so ridiculous, but like it took it away from kind of focusing on the negative parts of the movie and getting to like enjoy a little bit of like farcicalness to it. Makes me think, but then at the same point in time, they get released onto a planet, and now there's just millions of Flarkins that look like cats. Like, what's gonna happen with that?
Right. Talk about
And
Men
they're
in
just
Black.
randomly
That's a
eating
problem.
people.
Yeah.
Like, and then I'm assuming, I mean, that's how they eat too, right? So like, how are you so sure they're gonna spit out everybody? I don't know. That was kind of
Right.
weird. It felt like an SNL sketch. Like,
Just
I'm
randomly
sorry.
thrown it.
Like she's making walls to stop people, and they're like, yeah. And it's like, yeah. And it's like, I'm so sorry. It's gotta be done. Like, and I don't know why they're not getting eaten. Like, it's weird. The cast just know not to. I don't know. It's kind of a weird scene. It was a fun scene, but it was
Yes.
kind of like goofy in a sense.
It was.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me. I like as soon as I saw those like pink things float around, I'm like, are those gonna be Flurkin eggs? And then they were, and I'm like, gosh, yeah. My first thought was like, how do we know they're gonna spit people out? Like, how do you know that? You can't even talk to them.
They weren't even keeping count of who was eating who.
It's true.
That's true.
Yeah. Nobody had like a board, and they were checking off names. Nothing. So
Yeah.
that scene, man, it just didn't work for me. And also, how cool Nick Fury was with the Flurkins, knowing the last time he saw one, it scratched out his eye, and then he was just like, "Yeah, I like them now." I was like,
Yeah, it was really like,
Alright.
and I agree because I heard what you said about your take on the movie after you watched it, and like I do, it felt like a totally different Nick Fury. He didn't even need to be there. It's like they just kept flashing back to him while action was going on. He's like, yeah, like do that thing, and then like he's like, why are you even here? Like, what's going on? I don't know. Yeah, and then the Secret Invasion show. I didn't even think about that show while I watched this movie because it felt so disconnected. Like,
"Yeah,
and if this was supposed to lead into this, I'm like, how? In that show, he had much higher stakes. Like he was doing something, and then this is like he's chilling in space, and he's kind of got to work while he's on a cruise or something. Like it felt
right,
weird.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt." All right, let's talk about the water planet very briefly, and then we'll get into the end credit scene, or
That was weird too,
post credit
man.
scene, mid credit scene.
Water planet.
That felt like a sketch too, man.
Yeah.
That just did not work for me.
Yeah.
I really was like, oh, it's not going to be that bad because I heard people talking trash about it before I went to see it. And I saw it and I was like, man, this is just, it just doesn't work
It's
for
that
me.
bad.
And I think
Yeah.
I was seeing TikToks of like, oh, the reason why people are watching the movie, and it was I don't even know the actor, but the guy who was supposed to be her husband.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Like
Yeah,
the
I don't know who
Korean
he is, but it's like, yeah,
guy.
obviously, like if you're a big fan of this dude, no matter what he's doing, it seems like it's working for you.
Right.
So I think that's what it was. Like, so people fans are like, yes.
I'm
And
not
then
gonna lie,
otherwise, I'm like, I don't know who this is. I don't know what's going on. Why are they singing?
yeah, I thought he was maybe in BTS or something. I didn't know. Yeah, I don't think he's not. He's an actor. So I was like, I don't know.
I
what's
don't know.
going
I
on
have
here.
no idea. Yeah. But yeah, it was silly. And then he's just like, oh, you speak. He's like, oh, he's bilingual. And I'm like, what are we doing here? What the fuck are we
Right.
doing? Like,
Yeah.
you knew he was bilingual. Like, can we cut this shit? Like,
I know. I would
are
have.
there big stakes? Like, what are we doing?
And
It didn't. It was kind of like when Jack Black and Lizzo popped into
you think?
it was.
I've heard that comparison so many times that I'm like, I like the Jack Black and Lizzo
I
episode.
did. I liked it because it was a nice change of pace. I liked it because it was a nice little, oh, this is different. But then once it kind of got elongated, it was like, ooh, I don't.
This is too long.
Why? Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? It served only a purpose to do shock and awe, and it's kind of relative to, I think, how some of us feel about Brie Larson. It's mostly just about kind of like a look at me kind of a situation. I don't know. That's what it felt like for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I was like, I think,
maybe.
is this a musical now? Like, I didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just felt out of place. I
Yeah.
didn't really, and it's kind of forgettable too. Like, and then thinking back in the movie, I wasn't even. You brought it up, and like, oh yeah, I forgot they even had that scene. Like, it felt like it didn't need to be there. I
Yeah.
don't know,
Totally.
but that
I
just
will-
could be me. Maybe it's people who really loved it. I don't know.
Yeah. I will say, like, my mom did enjoy that part. So there's people out there. Like, maybe
Okay.
it's for them, or if you
Cool.
like musicals and stuff, maybe you'll really dig it. But
Yeah,
God,
Maybe.
I did not. Yep.
yeah.
maybe.
It's one of those like I might appreciate it more if like I heard like the director also directed Broadway and blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense, and then I'd like it. I don't know. Like as weird as
Right,
I need a
right.
justification to like this, because otherwise I'm like,
Yeah.
not for me, which is fine.
Totally.
But the cool stuff they did, dude, I have to say, Miss Marvel, the stuff they did with her powers in this like
Yeah.
was freaking awesome.
It
She
was like
really
watching
grew.
Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, it was freaking cool. I love how she was like using like it as like pivoting points. Like she'd make a pole and then like grab
Right,
it and
swing around
change
it.
her momentum and shit. And like it was cool, man.
Yeah, there's a part where I think somebody like knocks Darben up in the air with something, and then she jumps off one of her platforms and like stretchy arm punches down. And I was like, that looks pretty cool. That was a
Yeah,
pretty sick move. So yeah, another part I liked was them practicing their interchanging. I think that might have been my favorite part in the movie, where they were
Yeah.
all trying to trade places, and
yeah.
then they were like practicing that, and they were all just kind of hanging out and that interaction. I think
It
that
was
was
like the,
another. What's that?
I was gonna say it was like the only earned thing.
Yeah, it like made sense in that part of the story, and like Monica saving Iman made sense, and like even the whole Monica and Carol trying to work out like, why didn't you come see me? That never made sense to me. Like, I killed this planet, so I felt bad, so I didn't want to visit you, knowing that you were gonna be alone. Like, what?
Yeah.
So anyway, let's
Some
talk about
weird
the
stuff.
post. Let's talk about the last scene in the movie where
Oh
we
wait,
get a reenaction. Oh yeah, one more thing.
sorry,
Yeah, go
real
for it.
quick. There was a one part too, like where it seemed like they were kind of figuring out, like, oh, when I use my powers, we switch places, kind of thing.
Hmm.
But it wasn't fully established. And then Brie Larson's like, she decides to like try and leave the Earth's atmosphere, and then she switches places with Iman Vellani, and then she's falling from the sky. I was
Yeah,
like, what if he reached space? He would have just murdered her.
yeah, good
Like
point.
no one else can really go out in space, right? Like, well, I guess they kind
True.
of can if she ghosts out or something, maybe. But it was like I was just like, this is really irresponsible of you to just make that decision like that.
Right, right,
Um,
right. That was dangerous. That was a
yeah,
big gamble. Big gamble.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I digress.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Ending.
Yep. Last scene of the regular movie, which felt more like a mid-credit scene, we get we see Kate Bishop walk in back to her apartment that we saw in Hawkeye. We see a pizza getting thrown to Lucky, and out of the shadows comes Iman Vellani, Miss Marvel, looking like Nick Fury from Iron Man 1, and says the whole "I'm gonna put a team together" thing, kind of hinting at the Young Avengers. Yeah,
Yeah.
thoughts.
If only I got to see Florence Pugh's Black Widow as well too, it would have like really gave me all the feels.
Yeah, that would have been good. I think. I wonder if she'll be on the team, or if I wonder if she's like gonna because she's going to be in the Thunderbolts. I wonder
Yeah,
if she doesn't
that's
like,
true.
qualify
Yeah.
as a Young
Oh,
Avenger.
brutal.
But
I
We're
was
just gonna have teams on teams. Okay, sorry.
yeah, I don't know. I like again that scene. I was like, I want to say cool, but at this point, again, like we're looking at trajectory. We're looking at like, um, is like the superhero thing like waning on people, like people who aren't fans. Like, is this too late to do something like this where people are actually going to care about it and want to watch it? Like, um, hearing that Pedro Pascal, Mr. Fantastic thing, I was excited as well because it's like this is like a RDJ taking on a big role. Like
right,
Pedro's hot right now. This is gonna bring people who don't watch Marvel in. Like I'm all about bringing new actors in and stuff, but like at this point, I feel like we need super crazy strong casts that like will just bring in people because they're them, and
yeah.
then bang out a good story, and then get people on board again, and then
Mm.
sprinkle in the Young Avengers and stuff. Like
But what if it's a series?
that could
I
work.
think I'm
There
serious.
probably will be a series
I'm
actually.
not doing a Drake thing. I'm like
No, no,
serious.
but
Like,
that's
what if
okay.
it is a series?
That's your point. I mean, that could work. It probably will be a series. Now you say that, I don't know why I thought it was gonna be a movie. Actually, it could be. It's probably gonna be. It's probably gonna be a series.
I mean,
Then I'm
it
gonna
could
get a
be a
little,
movie.
yeah, a little crazy about it. But that could work. But then even then, like track record on that. I mean, I'm enjoying them, but some people are just getting upset at the amount of things we get now.
Mm,
I don't know if
yeah.
it's maybe they're stretching the writers, so like the stories aren't as strong or something. I don't know what it
They've
is. Or
picked interesting people to man the projects, I will say, and then
yeah,
also like leadership has been really funky in Marvel right now. You know, they
Yeah.
fired one of the three pillars of the company in Victoria Alonso. Not saying that she didn't deserve it. I don't know all the details, but she got fired, and so things have been different in there, I will say. And adding all these Disney Plus projects has stretched Kevin Feige thin. And reading that book, The Reign of MCU, like the thing is, like Kevin Feige is also a partial director on every movie, and like when you add in like 5 other projects a year, like he can't be at everywhere at one time. Like, you know, he was barely getting it done during Endgame, so it's just too much, I think, for any one person. But I don't know, I'm really excited about it. I loved the Young Avengers run leading into Kang. If they pivot away from Kang, I don't know how that all works, but you're right in that I wonder who the cast will be. We know that we're getting Cassie Lang, that was in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I think Haley Steinfeld is massive. I think she can draw in a big audience.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think everybody loved Iman Vellani in this movie. I think she'll draw in more people. I think what's her name, like something Newton, Ashley Newton or something, who played Cassie Lang. She has her own type of audience too. But is Scar gonna bring people in for the Young Avengers? Is Isaiah Bradley gonna bring in people? I don't know, unless he's recast as like who's Will Smith's son?
Jaden.
Yeah, like unless he's like portrayed by Jaden Smith, like I don't know if people come out for him either. So you're right. Like I don't know about the plausibility of it, but do I want to see a Younger Avengers movie or series? Hell yeah, that would be so sick. That team is awesome. So yeah, I'm really on board with that. I hope it happens. All right, let's jump to a team that we know everybody wants to see, and if this shows up more than what we got in this movie, which I was not expecting to get anything
I know.
about the X-Men in a Marvel show.
Yeah.
But God, that post-credit scene was phenomenal. I would literally buy another ticket and watch this whole movie again to see that 2 minutes of the end credit scene.
Where?
That's how much. Dude, 100%. Look at this.
Oh my God, Cyclops is on your shirt.
Yeah, dude, I.
Would it say
God, I
nerd?
loved it. 100% it does. Yeah,
Right
proud
on,
of it,
you're wearing
baby.
it right, bro.
It's
That's a cool
I
jacket,
suck
by the way.
Cyclops.
Thank
That's a
you.
cool
It's
jacket.
also
Can I see it
cute.
again?
It's got the what is
Dude,
this?
I like that.
Kid on this side and Cyclops on this side. Oh yeah, and it's got like a big logo on the back. Hand stitch, baby. It's nice.
Dude,
But,
so
But yeah, God, that was so fucking
dude,
good.
and yeah, so when that kicked off, I'm like, is that Kelsey Grammer?
Yeah,
It is Kelsey Grammer, dude.
That
Oh man,
voice. That's what I'm talking
That-
about. If you're gonna have a
Love
CG
it.
character, you have to have a recognizable voice. And
Yeah.
Kelsey Grammer's voice is the beast. Even though he was only in 2 movies,
Frasier.
he's OG
iconic.
Beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is Beast's
yeah.
voice. And
Oh
so
my
that
God.
was such a smart move bringing him back. I was
Yeah.
so fucking pumped. That
Yeah.
was, oh God, I love that so much. Yeah, Drake.
That was sick.
No, I agree. It was nostalgic and it was exciting, especially the look towards kind of like the future of. I mean, what we're about to get is the X-Men. So, with you bringing back, I think it was smart because it gave me instantaneous trust. Oh, you brought Kelsey Grammer, the beast that I most signify beast with. Well, I assume you're going to be doing the same things for the other characters, or even if you're not, at least I trust you going into it, and I think that has built the most kind of excitement, especially for X-Men. The thing that you know, all three of us have we've lived and breathed X-Men. That was my favorite thing. I had the entire series of Age of Apocalypse, thanks to somebody.
Nice.
So it's like, what? Speechless.
For sure. Like
Nice.
that got me like, this is what we need. Like in the whole like, are people getting tired of films like these type of films? I'm like, we need the next like X-Men already, or we need the next, you know, Fantastic Four or whatever. Like we need like a powerhouse movie to bring it back before people get too tired of it. And then it's just us watching it. It's probably going to be fucking awesome. You know,
Right.
whenever it does come, I'll fucking wait 40 years to watch this shit. And I'll still,
I
I'll
will
still
not.
watch it then.
I will wait another 2.
But then when
But-
when another one comes out in 40 years, you'll be first. in
Yes,
line.
when another one comes out in 40 years, like
You're
I'll
"It
take my
still
grandkids to it.
fits." Yeah.
For sure, but like that's the thing with Marvel in the state now. Nobody was super on board with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, But people were on board with Steve Rogers, Captain America. Maybe Sam Wilson will be a big enough draw. I love Sam Wilson. I don't know if the rest of the world does, or at least America does. But like Robert Downey Jr., big enough character with Iron Man. Chris Hemsworth is Thor.
Yeah.
And then you have Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. And then you have Jeremy Renner as some guy with a bow and arrow. Like, it's just crazy, you know? Like, those are the powerhouse of
These
Marvel.
are powerhouse actors. Crazy.
Yeah, powerhouse actors and like powerhouse characters. And
Yeah.
like nobody knew Captain Marvel when that movie was announced. Like maybe you could say the same about Black Panther, but it had this built-in audience, you could say. Like everybody in the 90s was on board with the X-Men. And at some point, a lot of people, if you're a Marvel fan, you were on board with the Fantastic Four. So like that's such a smart move. Get to those characters. Like Moon Knight's cool, sure. Like Miss Marvel's cool. Who else? She-Hulk's cool in a way, but it's like those aren't the characters people come to Marvel to see. They come to see the heavy hitters.
It's and I get the whole, you know, maybe people forget that Fox had these characters and then Disney obtained them, and like I don't know how long it takes to fully get to like to the point where we can make movies on them now and stuff like that. Even if they just, I mean, I probably would have felt better if they're like, okay, we just obtained Fox. It's going to take exactly this long until we can start a film. So everyone chill until this year. Like, I'd much rather just know. But
I wish, even if they said at least wait till 2026, I'd be like, okay, 2026, we're getting it.
Yeah, like just to get an idea.
Like, I need to know when.
Because we know if Marvel, like after the first Iron Man, if it did well, and they had all the rights to like, X-Men and stuff, that probably would have been way earlier. For sure, because they're gonna look at like, oh, who's the top characters that make money? Wolverine, all right, dude. Like,
Yep. Again, I can't say enough about that book. The way a lot that we got to the Avengers was one, Kevin Feige's vision, but two, because Ike Perlmutter, the guy who owned Marvel, basically was like, we gotta sell toys, and what sells toys? Popular characters. So like. Yeah, do the popular characters. I think that's reflecting now. I've tried to stay so positive on Marvel, and like I'm always going to be a fan. But Phase 4 was just a bunch of no-name characters for people who weren't comic book fans, and we got to get to the point where people can start recognizing some people. Like, oh, I know Beast. Oh, I know. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who. Nobody knew Binary, but like Scarlet Witch comes back. Oh, I know Scarlet Witch. Loki did well because people know Loki and they know where he started, and it's like, how did he change? What does he go through? So like, we got to get back to like knowing some characters, and they got to be the forefront. Nobody knew the Eternals.
I feel like for me, the only one that like super nailed it with like some of the characters I was unfamiliar with and ended up really loving the movie was Guardians.
Guardians.
I was like, Guardians, and I looked up and I'm like, really? Man, this is a turn. But I ended up really loving those characters. Those movies are like up there for me. But other than that, like everything's pretty
a unique screenwriter, and then you had James Gunn.
James Gunn, and he's like very unique, one of the million type of dude. So it's like it very rarely works like that.
Yeah,
it's like they took that idea. It was like, oh, James Gunn did it. Everyone could do it, and it's like, nah, dude. Like, I think the special ingredient was James Gunn, and like the team he selected.
Yeah, so good. I'm so excited. I don't know where we see the X-Men again. I don't think we get them in Captain America, Brave New World or whatever. I don't know if we see them there. I'm trying to think of what Deadpool. We're going to see some X-Men in Deadpool, which makes me even more excited about.
I'm pumped for that.
Because like for the 2 minutes, like I said, oh my God, the freaking 2 minutes was like all I needed. And it's like, dude, like are we getting a whole movie of that with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine? Like, God, I'm so excited. Can't it just be 2024 already? Oh man.
And then because it's like, that's the other thing. I know we're kind of going into this, but the Deadpool thing, I'm not super in the know about like the budget for this film or whatnot. But because it's like now Disney's backing it and it's not like, they're acquiring it. It would be cool to just be like, if one of the scenes are like, let's do a fucking crazy cameo of like everyone in the X-Mansion, or like something like, even for a second, and they're like, that's all we could afford, or some shit, like, but it's gonna be great
taking the scene from Deadpool, but like, like bring back James Marsden, bring back Famke Janssen, bring back Halle Berry, like, just do it, like, why not?
I hope they do, and I feel like they are. I just want to say they are.
I think so, but I just like I don't. You're right in that I don't know if we can wait till Secret Wars anymore. I think we gotta start seeing them in action and seeing moves in that direction. Otherwise, yeah, maybe people fall off before then, and I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, closing thoughts, final words before we wrap up this episode.
Scott.
Always great to talk with you guys, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you are as excited about all the things we talk about as we are. Please like and subscribe and comment. We want to hear from you guys.
Hello.
Drake.
Most purpose is more burden than glory.
Damn.
What do you do with that?
Ooh. Mic drop. We're out. All right, everybody. Thanks for checking it with us.
The Joy Schtick Show. The Joy Schtick Show.